The COVID stimulus checks ruined small business owners, setting them up for failure with a broken mindset. I'm going to explain how that happened and what you can do to reframe your mindset to get back on track. See, small business owners received these COVID stimulus checks and they treated them as if it was some new stream of ongoing income rather than a windfall of cash. Because small business owners who notoriously fail because of cash flow problems to begin with, 82% of small business owners are going to go out of business because of cash flow problems. All of a sudden, it's almost like a miracle arrived and these huge sums of money, PPP funds, ERC funds, EIDL, economic injury development loans, get deposited in their accounts, and they wake up and all of a sudden they have hundreds of thousands, and in some cases, you got millions of dollars in your account, and you feel like, I've made it. And then what happened? They up-leveled their lifestyle because it was being treated as if it was this new ongoing stream of revenue. And I speak from the perspective of seeing hundreds of small business owners across the US who've done this. They bought bigger houses. They bought second houses. They moved their kids from public school to private school. They went on nicer vacations. Now, some of them are one-off. That's almost more justifiable in some regards. But what gets really problematic is when you start entering into expenses that are recurring month after month. So when you increase that mortgage, that's a month after month increase. When you buy that second house, when you go to move your kids to private school, that's increasing your monthly expenses. Now, what's happened is the EIDL payments have started, and many small business owners have already spent their way through that cash. And in addition, they didn't grow their overall profit for their business. So now they have roughly the same amount of income, more expenditures for the business to pay back the interest, but also they have more lifestyle expenses. And so as a consequence, I'm seeing small business owners in significant pain, maybe at or above the levels that I saw in 2008, because they've become either illiquid and difficulty or challenge paying short-term bills that are going to be due within the next 12 months, or insolvent. They're going to have difficulty paying off these debts greater than 12 months, long-term debts. The good news is there's a simple reframe that you can implement called the investor frame that's going to save your business. Now, the investor frame calls on you to go through every expense and investment that you have in your business, and I would suggest you apply it to your personal life through this mindset of an investor. An investor is going to look at it and say, based off the information that I have today, would I enter into this investment again? And so based off that information, yes or no. Now, if the answer is yes, of course, why? Hopefully there's a demonstrable return on your investment to justify continuing in that expense. If the answer is no, then there's a follow-up question. What would it take for me to turn this from a no to a yes? And then you line out those steps. What would it take? And then you have to ask yourself again, am I willing to follow that process? Willing to do what's necessary to turn this from a no to a yes? And if you are, then you set a rule for yourself. You establish exactly how long you're going to spend, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and the specific outcome that you need at the end of that process. And if at the end of that process, you didn't meet the rules that you set for yourself, you cancel that expense, you recover that resource so that you can reallocate it either to paying your existing bills that maybe you're struggling with, or you can reallocate it to something that has a lot greater upside. See, many business owners have a bunch of bets in their business, investments that they're making that aren't core to their business, meaning the business doesn't require it to operate. And so they're expecting there to be a return. But oftentimes that return doesn't even beat the S&P 500. You could put that money into an index fund with the S&P and get on average a little over 10% per year. So we need to get at least that, if not more, if we have to put in effort to begin with. So it's a reframe, thinking about every bet that we're making in our business is an investment, and we have to hold that investor mindset and scrutinize our business investments the way we would scrutinize our stock or 401k portfolio. Real quick, if you're watching this video and you're thinking, Dan, how could you be my CPA and we could do this all together? Well, go down to the pin link below, or the the description below. Click on the first link. That's going to take you to my website where you can schedule a quick call and see if it makes sense to work together. Now let's get back to the video. Now, the last thing to understand is how we have to behave differently when money just falls into our lap overnight. We need a different approach. And that approach starts with properly characterizing your income to begin with. I suggest that there's two ways of categorizing your income. Recurring income, income that you can expect week after week, month after month, quarter after quarter, year after year. This is going to be on repeat. Maybe it's under contract. And then there's what we call windfall money. Windfall money is one time. It shows up and we can't expect it again. It's a one-time thing. All of those PPP funds, ERC funds, EIDL, although it's a loan, that was windfall money. We can't expect it to happen again. So we only use windfall money, one-time income, to pay for one-time expenses. We can't use it to then create an ongoing recurring expense. Otherwise, we're designing a system that guarantees we're going to be in pain later. We're delaying a problem, creating a much greater problem in the future. So windfall money only gets allocated to windfall expenses. Whereas recurring income, recurring revenue, and recurring profits, that's what we can use for recurring expenses. That means that if we want to increase our recurring, our month after month expenses, we got to increase our recurring revenue. It's really that simple. Using the investor frame, properly characterizing your income between windfall and recurring will significantly change your short-term and long-term trajectory, allowing you to actually grow your net worth, which is the whole point of having your business to begin with.